on it. We are recording, my friend. Okay. Today, we are going to Portugal. It's a country that I have loved for a long time. I was there in the 80s. My parents moved there for 15 years. And so I got the opportunity to go visit quite often. And naturally, you could imagine that my parents made a lot of friends while they were there. And one of the friends they made was a woman by the name of Louisa. And Louisa told my mother about a man who was a wonderful tour guide named George. And my mother told me, and I reached out to George, and George is with us today to talk about his country. And I'm excited. I'm so excited to go back to Portugal today. Hi, George. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Annie. Welcome to Portugal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, so many people talk about Portugal. They don't really, it's really off their radar. And, you know, maybe give us a little description of the country, where it is, and tell us about your home.
So Portugal is coming out of the shell for the last 20 years. So basically, it's more or less a new destination for all the travelers. So a little bit about Portugal. Let's start with geography. So if you look at Europe, Portugal is in southern Europe, on the bottom left, overlooking the ocean. So basically, it's Europe's balcony. We see the sun 300 days per year. We have a history context with 7,000 years from the Lusitans, the Phoenicians, the Greeks, Carthaginians, the Celts, the Romans, the Visigoths, the Arabs, lots of heritage. Portugal was born in 1139, and our borders are the oldest in Europe, settled in the 1200s. So Lisbon is one of the oldest capitals in Europe. Some say after Athens, Lisbon is the oldest. And in between, we had 200 years of the Portuguese discoveries. So we were sailing the world. Now we are the best country to retire in Europe, 5th in the world, 3rd most peaceful country in the world. And we have been winning awards as the best destination as a country. And Lisbon, the capital, Porto as well, port wine. And wine awards as well. So we are in the mouth of the world right now.
Wow. Well, you know, I'm delighted to hear that, because my parents did retire there, and people are often asking me about the safety, about you know, safe travel, and of course, it's nice to hear those things about Portugal. But so, you know, it's bordered on with a long sea on the Atlantic. It's bordered on the east coast by Spain, and on the north by Spain. And then in the south, there's the Algarve. Is that the Mediterranean, or is that the Iberian? That's an Iberian Peninsula.
Iberian Peninsula is where Portugal and Spain are, both countries. That square, that piece of land called the Iberian Peninsula.
What is the water body that's down at the south? Is that the Med?
Only Atlantic. Only Atlantic.
Really? Okay.
Including the Algarve, yes. So the Algarve, basically, to give you an image, like a mental picture, the Algarve is facing Morocco.
Yes, right. Okay.
On the Atlantic side.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Well, you know, I have been designing travel for more than 30 years, I might say. And I design in 3 key areas. So a lot of times when we talk about just a destination, that's fine. We can talk about going to Portugal. But I also design on accommodations and special interests. For example, maybe somebody is just very interested in skydiving, for example, or interested in, oh, like that, just like that. So
there you go.
Yeah, so right on cue. So tell us a little bit about how those 3 areas fit into Portugal.
So about the destinations, let me say that in all contexts, I can fulfill all your days with several different and rich and enlightening experiences, from gastronomy, leisure, wine tasting, some adventure you might like. We do private and customized. Reason why, if you ask me to take your client skydiving, here you go. This is an example. This is one of the many examples of what your clients can request to you. Annie, I have a request.
Yeah.
So you come to George, and George makes that dream come true. Okay.
Of course. Of course.
So
yeah.
Skydiving. This is the private and customized side of one of the many sides we do. Okay, private and customized. As for accommodations, so besides the five-star hotels, we have manor houses, rural tourism, as fancy as five-star hotels. We have winery hotels. We have palace hotels.
Oh. Ugh, I
so
want
this
to
is a palace. This is a palace
yeah,
hotel.
Let it be me.
Of course, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. This is a wine hotel, and actually in this hotel you can sleep in the. So those are rooms. Basically, you were looking at rooms in a winery hotel.
Wow.
Okay, and this, there you go. This is your bedroom.
That is awesome. That's awesome. Do those have bathrooms in them too?
Yes, yes, they are fully equipped. This is a five-star hotel. Okay, one of the many. One of the many. Okay, and we also have. For example, hotels in monasteries, castles, convents, fortresses. Let me show you one. So this is Óbidos, a medieval town. We are going to talk about Óbidos in a few moments, which is one of the main destinations. So this is another five-star hotel from that chain of it's a chain of hotels that have their hotels are in monuments, basically. So this is an example.
They're called posadas, correct?
They're called posadas. Yes, yes, they are. For example, this monastery is another five-star hotel from the same chain.
Wow, awesome.
And going to special interests, they're all they are different according to where you are geographically in Portugal. And we will talk about the regions of Portugal. But they all share common denominators. So everywhere you go, you have, let me show you, palaces. This is Pena Palace in Sintra.
In Sintra, yeah.
You have medieval towns. This is this is Óbidos, where that five-star hotel is, the castle. That's the five-star hotel.
I love that.
And Óbidos is surrounded by castle walls, so it was an offer to our Queen Isabel from the king. King Dinis offered this town to Queen Isabel. She fell in love with this town, and it was an offer in her dowry. So Óbidos is called the city of the queens, and it was in every queen's dowry up to the 19th century. So from the 13th to the 19th century, this was an offer to the queen.
Wow.
So of course, and still talking about special interests, the landscapes, the 300 sunny days per year, the fresh shellfish pulled in daily, the beaches, the weather. Remember, we see 300 sunny days. We have 300 sunny days per year. Wow. Our gastronomy. Here you go.
Could I interrupt you for 1 second? Can you go back to that? Can you go back to the other picture? It just occurred to me. I think I know where that is. Is that on the route from? We used to take our painters up there to paint. It's a big. It's an overlook. Am I right?
This is very close to Sintra. It's Azenas do Mar.
Azenas do Mar. Azenas do Mar. I have so many paintings of that. It's a beautiful, beautiful. Yeah.
So that is the Atlantic right there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
In front of Sintra, you are looking to Philadelphia. For you to be geographically located, right there in front, Philadelphia. So in Porto is more or less in front of New York ish.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, so the gastronomy, as I mentioned, our pastries are delicious.
I forgot about those.
The amazing beaches, the amazing landscapes. So this is wine country. The vineyards are changing at this point. So this might be October, November. This is a very, very, very good time. So this is high season for the
That
harvesting.
photograph is unusual because most of the time you see the Douro River or you see vineyards, you see big green levels of green. This is the first time I've seen it in full color. That's beautiful.
Yes, they are turning. They're about to lose the leaves. So this might be October, November, something like that. By December, they're so the leaves will be gone.
Yeah.
This is the high harvest, probably late harvest, October, November, something like that. So this is a very busy season for all wineries.
Yeah.
It's a very nice time for travelers to visit at this point because they can reach the full experience of what it is like in the wine country, because this is all over. It's happening all over.
Beautiful.
And of course, another highlight, another special interest, and one of the main ones, Portuguese people. We are very happy. We are very good hosts. And I have a challenge in case you have friends or family who came to Portugal already and visited another European country. Please ask them to rate the Portuguese compared to the others. This is a very interesting thing for you to do. We are very happy people and we are very good hosts.
Well, we can see by you.
Thank you very much. Okay, talking about the regions of Portugal. So we have, imagine a rectangle on the vertical.
Okay, long scale.
Let's divide that rectangle in three: north, central, and south.
Okay.
Portugal is so separated in these three regions, and it's a very small country, but it's very intense. Lots of things to see, and you don't need to drive a lot to go from one to the others. So this is very easy to reach. So let's focus first in the north.
Okay.
The north is more green, more humid, home of port wine and the green wine, a very refreshing white. And it's the cradle of Portugal, the city of Guimarães, where Portugal was born in 1139. So while in the north, let's settle in Porto, because from Porto, you can reach all the other highlights. Porto itself, it's a must. It's the town I have behind me.
Wow.
It's historical,
wow,
crowded, packed with monuments, and it's home for the port wine cellars. This is another building covered in blue and white tiles, all hand painted in Porto. An example of the many monuments that you can see in Porto. And of course, port wine cellars. This is where the port wine is storage. It's not made here. It's made upriver, okay? Which will take us to our second destination while in the north. So besides Porto, let me take you to the Douro River Valley, which is where port wine is made, the vineyards of the port wine. Let me make a parenthesis. One spectator made a number in July 2015 about Portugal, and specifically about the Douro River Valley. So some of the wines, they rate close to 100 points. My main goal is to take your clients to these wineries. Time-wise, be aware that some of the bookings need to be made with 6 to 12 months in advance. So please grab your phones and start calling Annie right now. Okay? This is very important. Okay, for me to take to the top notch.
I recognize that because I have had those experiences. They get very excited. They think in 6 months they can go to during high season of harvest to the Douro River, and it's not, you can't, I mean, the hotels are spectacular, and if you want to be there, then you have to book early. It's just true. I mean, it's terribly disappointing for me to tell somebody that they're booked up.
We can always find a solution.
Yeah.
Of course, as the time frame gets shorter, less the options we have. But there's always a choice. There's always an option.
Yeah.
But according to the pictures that we're seeing here, please 6 to 12 months in advance. Okay, just let's
Right.
make sure. I'm going to take you to the ones, okay, to the
Yeah.
main ones.
Yeah.
So Douro River Valley, here we are. This is only an example. That's one of the wineries.
That's Six Senses, right?
This is Quinta Nova. Quinta
Quinta
Nova
Nova.
is one of the top
De Novo.
10 must-visit wineries in the world as a
Wow.
hotel. So this is where I would like to take your clients for lunch.
Yeah.
This is Six Senses.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Six Senses only has a handful of properties around the world. The fact that they chose this place says a lot. I think, I mean, they're the creme de la creme.
It's unique. They are only in unique places. So by being a unique place, let me tell you that the Douro River Valley was the first area in the world to be recognized as wine country.
Really?
Not any other in Europe. Yes, yeah,
Wow.
It was the Douro River Valley.
Did not know that.
First one in the world. Still in the north, we have another destination, which is Braga and Guimarães, medieval towns. Guimarães is the cradle of Portugal, where Portugal was born in 1139. And that what I have behind me is the Duke's Palace. Okay. And here we have the sanctuary in Braga. So remember, we are in the north between the Porto and the border in the north. So this is wine. This is also green wine country, very refreshing wines. Okay, another must try. If you come to Portugal, you need to taste the green wine. Okay, so we have the north covered. Let's go to central Portugal. So it's less humid, and where Lisbon is, and from Lisbon you can reach the other highlights. So Lisbon first. Lisbon itself is a charm. It's known as the city of the seven hills, and like Porto, walking is the only way you can absorb the vibe of the city. The energy of the city is something impressive. And I do strongly suggest a fado night in a restaurant.
What is fado? I mean, I know what it is, but how would you describe it? Because it's like nothing else.
Fado, that's a very good question. Fado is the musical soul of Portugal. In any country, for example, you go to other countries and you are going to see their traditions. Fado is our tradition. Fado is songs of sorrow and looks like they are crying when they are singing. They can transmit the vibe to you and you can almost feel what they're singing. It's very powerful and very emotional singing.
It's also, I wouldn't say operatic, but it's also almost like a play. They're so, I've seen it once. They were so involved. It was like that. You were watching a performance. It wasn't just that they were singing or playing music, but they were actually I don't know how else to describe it, but it was definitely a soulful performance.
It usually, you can have more, but the tradition is two men playing the guitar and the lady singing, a lady or a man singing. So the guitar that you see behind me, it has 12 strings. It needs to be played with fake nails for them to cover all the lines of the guitar, all the strings. So Lisbon, after Lisbon, you can reach Sintra. It's a very short drive. Sintra is it's a fairy tale. It's a lush of nature. It's a small mountain with a microclimate. Sintra has 4 palaces. It has a castle, convent part carved in the rocks, the most western point of Europe, and it has Cascais. Cascais is a very charming town. It's called the Portuguese Riviera. So basically, your day will cover all this. Not all the palaces, of course. We need to make a limitation here.
Right.
If you would to cover the entire Sintra, probably 2 full days for Sintra would be nice. Well,
Yeah,
depending
right.
on your time.
Okay? Right.
So in Cascais, very special events happened during the Second World War.
Oh, yeah.
Portugal was a neutral country during the Second World War and not occupied. So because of that, we had a spy game happening in Portugal. We had spies from all the countries that were fighting on top of our heads. One of those spies was Ian Fleming. And Ian Fleming created the character of James Bond according to the life that he was living here in Cascais, according to his spy games. So Ian Fleming was a spy for the MI5 back then.
In real life.
A real one.
Yeah.
So the movie Casino Royale was created. The first book was created according to the experience that he was living in the casino that we have here.
Wow.
So he was basically living all that reality here. So we can say that James Bond was invented right here in Portugal and in Cascais. As incredible as it seems.
It's true.
So from Lisbon as well, we are still in the center with your home base is Lisbon. You can reach Óbidos, medieval town, and very close, we can reach Nazaré, fishing village. So Nazaré is probably you already saw this picture somewhere in the news. So Nazaré, besides the fishing village, it's a beach town during summer, and nowadays it holds the world record for the biggest wave ever surfed. So behind me I have, it's not the biggest, but it's a very big one. And in case you want to come to Portugal, during September to May, something like that, we have several northern Atlantic storms. During early autumn, of course, winter and early spring, we have constant northern Atlantic storms. And if you are lucky, if one of your tours is one of those days, this is what you will see. Okay?
Oh, wow.
And this is the fishing village of Nazaré. By night, there's the town. Okay, and next destination, next must visit, Évora and Montserrat, medieval towns. The oldest Roman temple in the Iberian Peninsula. It's located here. And on the back, you can see the towers of the cathedral,
I did.
1100s.
Wow.
So Évora and Montserrat medieval towns. And here you are in the land of the Romans, the Celts, pottery, cork, olive groves, vineyards, and of course, wine tasting is a must in this section.
Of course. We require that. It's a requirement.
It's a must.
It's a must.
Well, Portugal, let me tell you that probably you had this experience already. Portugal is a winery. Everybody who has a backyard, they plant their own grapes and they make their own wine, as simple as that. From the Algarve in the south, up in the north to Porto, everywhere is like this. But of course, you have the areas with the 5-star kind of wine. Of course, those are areas that are recognized.
Yeah.
Okay, but everybody makes wine.
I can't even imagine that. It's like having your own vegetable garden. Everybody grows, you know.
It's the same. It's still veggies. Another kind of veg.
That's true. That's true. So true.
Okay, last destination while in Lisbon, in the central, Knights Templar Castle and Convent.
It's a convent.
Right?
It's a convent.
This is a castle. So this is the castle. It was one of the headquarters of the Knights Templar in Portugal. And this castle is in the middle of the river. So we need to take a 10-minute solar boat to get there. And this
What's a
is
solar boat? What's a solar boat? I've never heard of that.
solar energy.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, just simple. A very simple, no
Yes.
rowing.
No, in total silence because it doesn't make any noise. It has the engine is in batteries, so there's no waste, there's no pollution, all green.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It was a very nice idea. So we are going to visit that castle in the middle of the river, and we are going to visit the convent of Christ. These both monuments were Knights Templar headquarters in Portugal. They have a very big history here. And when your clients arrive, I'll tell them the history from the beginning till the end. Okay, so far we have 8 full days, but we still have the Algarve, the south. The Algarve is more dry, hot, and it's all about relaxing, beach, cocktails, swimming pool, deep sea fishing, golf, seafood, salads, perfect for resting. There you go. This is the Algarve.
Wow, look at that.
Okay, look at this. This is impressive.
Spectacular. That water.
And there are small.
Color of that water is.
It's hypnotizing. And there are small fishing boats from the local fishermen. They're going they fish during the winter, and during the summer they are taking tourists into the caves. So right here you can take one of those small fishing boats and go see the caves.
I did not know that either. I'm learning so much today.
Part of the experience, of course, besides the golf and the gastronomy, traditional Portuguese sardines.
Let's talk about those sardines for a second. Go back to the sardines. So,
sardines.
My experience, I guess not all over Portugal, but for sure in Lisbon, was walking the little tiny narrow streets, and on the street would be somebody out there with a grill, no bigger than that, grilling these sardines, and then you can see in the photograph that they're salted, but they're serving them there with a salad. I have remembered getting a piece of bread, and they would take that sardine and you would press it into the bread that would soak up the oil. Am I right? And then you would eat that as sort of a sandwich as you were walking along the street.
Oh yeah.
Here it's quite like you would have it for lunch, but this was, I don't know, I was impressed. And they were everywhere.
Yes, back in the days.
Yeah.
We still do that. But the way of eating sardines, because it's a greasy fish, they would give you a slice of bread, and on top of the bread you would put the sardine. And of course you won't eat one sardine, you eat 2, 3, 4, or 5, independently of how many sardines you would eat. The grease of the sardine would soak the bread, and after you were satisfied you would eat the slice of the bread.
I know.
And this is the traditional #1 way of eating sardines.
That's what I remember, and I loved it. And the saltiness of it, it was exquisite. And you eat the whole thing, and the bones are very, just eat the whole thing.
Yes, it's a traditional Portuguese dish. It's sardines. We are famous for that.
Okay.
So our destinations are all covered. So north, central, and south.
So that brings us to the question, George. When I'm designing for my clients, sometimes they have, they're making Portugal as an add-on to a trip to Spain. They might want to come to Portugal for a few days, or they might want to come for a week, and some hopefully 2 weeks. How would you work with clients like that?
In the beginning, that was something that happened. So as I mentioned before, for the last 20 years that Portugal is in the radar. 20 years ago, if you would see an American in Portugal, we would say he was lost. as incredible as it seems. Yes. Nowadays, you see many Americans in Portugal, and that's good to know. So we have been keep developing with time, and the country is far different for the better compared to 20 years ago. So back in the days, because they were going somewhere else, they would stop in Portugal for 2 days just by curiosity.
Mhm.
Now that is changing. They're changing to Portugal as a main destination. Of course, they can also add, okay, since you're going to Europe, we will cover Portugal and another country, something like that.
Mhm.
That still happens. But instead of the 2 days, it's increasing to 5, it's increasing to a week, it's increasing to 15 days,
Mhm.
like you said. So I would say time-wise, if time is a limitation with, for example, let's start with 3 days. If you have a 3 days, please Lisbon as a starting point. If you already know Lisbon, Porto as well. Don't leave or Lisbon or Porto if you have only 3 days.
Okay.
If you have 5 days, we can start thinking in landing in Porto and departing from Lisbon, because we can drive from the north to the south, and so you don't need to drive back and forth. You
Right.
land in Porto, exit through Lisbon,
Mhm.
and you will cover lots of highlights.
Mhm.
If you have more than 5 days, your experience will get much richer. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you want to spend a few days in the Algarve resting by the swimming pool or with this green water that I have behind me, please do.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting way of routing. Sometimes people like to have a rest in the beginning, and it just occurred to me that it might be they have an airport called Faro as well. It's not a big hub, but if you had the time, and a lot of my clients do, they don't want to just hop around too much. Maybe starting in the Algarve would be a nice beginning. Just to rest from the flight,
Yeah.
and I don't know. It's some
Yes.
people want to hit the road running and they want to see it all real quick and then end with the relaxing part of it. But yeah, no, I love what you've just described.
That is quite easy for you to manage with
Yeah,
your clients. Just ask the question, do you want to rest first or after?
yeah.
So
Or not
they
at
can
all.
land or not.
Or not at all.
So they can land in the north and live in the south, or they can land in the south and live in the north. That's easy. That's easy. We don't
Yeah.
need to drive back and forth.
This has been wonderful. Tell me, and if a little bit about you and what you do and how you got here, and how does one become a travel guide, an expert? I mean, you're an expert because you live there, but not in terms of knowledge, and I mean, what do you have to do?
Well, my life suffered a 180 degrees change. So I was working in banking, and I
Oh.
worked in banking for 20 years of my life. And I needed a change for good vibes, positive energy. And in between renewable energies and tourism, since I love to sponsor my country, so tourism was chosen. I consider myself an ambassador of Portugal,
Yeah.
sponsor of the nation. So, and my way of interacting with travelers is always someone who wants to give them the unique experience. Someone who makes your day a permanent memory, someone you will remember, and that you will want to return. It's my goal to see a smile in your client's face.
Yeah.
So that's a joy for me. And by choosing Annie Freedom Travel, you will be the star of the show. So Annie has amazing taste. It's very selective with unique experiences, all the upsides compared to a group,
Yeah.
group guides.
Yeah. Well, you're so sweet to say that, George.
It's true.
We, well, it is true, but I think I find people around the world like you who share my passion for the travel experience, not just you know, it's not just a job, and that no matter what, we want the traveler to walk away and go, oh my gosh, that was wonderful. And you have been just a wonderful person to work with, and got me out of a jam or two, I might add too. So it's always nice to have somebody on the ground that I can call on. I have a problem here. Let me get George, you know, to come help you, to help you out here. And so it's always nice to have people like George. So normally I do independent travelers. So the people that come to you, George, from me will be, you know, a couple. I have somebody, I think you're going to be helping them with their anniversary. We've got families, we've got, but there are from time to time small groups who want to come, and those are delightful too. Can you manage a group as well as independent travelers?
Yes, of course. And everything independently, if they are a couple or if they are a group of friends or a group of family, the quality is the same.
Yeah.
So my attention goes 100% to your clients, and they will be treated the same.
Yeah.
No, there's no change about that.
Wonderful, wonderful. You have been so amazing, George. I feel like I just took a trip. I mean, I feel like I've gone back to Portugal, and I'm re-inspired to share these stories. And thank you for all of the visuals as well, because, you know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it definitely is worth 1,000 words. You have been just amazing. I can't wait. I
Thank you very much.
I want to come. I want to get on a plane and come right now.
Please do. The invitation is out there for a long time. So just
okay, my friend.
Take the plane.
There will be story notes following this, and information about George, and it's just a wonderful trip. And I hope everyone goes to Portugal real soon. Thank you.
And I hope to see you here, all of you.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you.
How do you say goodbye in Portuguese? I used to know that.
See you soon.
No.
Até já.
Say?
Até já.
Até já. How do you say good morning? Because I always
Bom dia.
Bom dia. Bom dia. And then in the afternoon we say
boa tarde.
Boa tarde. Okay. Boa tarde. Okay.
Boa tarde.
Boa tarde.
A few more weeks and you'll be speaking Portuguese.
All I need to know is how to say green wine.
It's one of the key words, okay?
I'll learn it when I come. Thank you again, George.
My pleasure. Okay. My pleasure.